Yeah, I just got on. I literally just got on. I was giving my dog a little bit of a haircut because he needed it. He looked really rough. Um Here he is now. He needed to have his face shaved. He needed to have his little paws shaved and his private area. He hasn't had a bath in a while, and I was like, even though he hasn't had a bath, I really need to clip his hair because it was getting long and he was starting to smell. And for some reason, it was like warm today, but then it started getting really windy. It got so windy that it felt like it was 15 degrees cooler because it was just so windy out. Hey, hey, how are y'all? So, with that being said, I was gonna give him a bath today, and then I decided not to because it's too cold outside. Um, and by the time I got home, it was already like I don't know, maybe 5. So I didn't want to start grooming him at 5 o'clock in the afternoon because I figured that we were gonna go live. So I didn't I didn't want I didn't want to be like trying to groom him at the same time, being live, blah blah blah, whatever. So I had posted a video on TikTok today. Yeah, it wasn't actually a long day. I didn't start until 10, but I had one client like all the way in Mountain Island, which is like 30 minutes away. And then I had a client close by my house, and then another one by Carowinds. So it was more driving today than anything. And driving makes me feel really tired. So I don't really like to do a lot of driving, even though I'm a mobile groomer. I would prefer like all my dogs to be like close by. But it doesn't always happen like that. So I do have a lot of clients that live further away. And when my clients live further away, it's probably better if I start earlier in the morning, but I don't really like waking up early. So I guess I if I had like a really good wish, I would start earlier but not get stuck in traffic because there's a lot of fucking traffic in Charlotte. So if there was a way to avoid all of that, I would start earlier. But because I don't like sitting in an hour's worth of traffic, I start later, which means that I get done later. No, back to Bushwick. I did start reading the beginning of Will I Ever Be Good Enough, the book that we had talked about before the holiday season, and I decided to kind of wait to actually start reading it full time because I knew that there was going to be a lot of people in and out for the holidays and for the new year. And I figured that it would probably be best to just start after everything kind of settled down. But I did read, I want to say 2 chapters, maybe 3 or 4 days ago. So if you want to like hear the very first couple of chapters, I did post it on my page under the live um, streamed videos. So you can go back and take a look at that if you want. We are going to read tonight. There was a lot going on yesterday, and I know everybody wanted to talk about the baby and all of those fun things. But the live went really long. Um, so my question was if Gypsy and Nicholas had communicated with one another that if they had a girl, they were going to name the baby Aurora, where did that information come from? Like, where did that information come from? Who said it? And where can we find like actual receipts showing that? Because in my opinion, I feel like, are you sure though? I didn't see the entire Dr. Phil show, because the one that I found online was like the Spanish version, and my Spanish isn't very well, so right. I remember hearing about the boy and them wanting to name the boy Nick Jr. I remember that. It's not in the text because I went through every single text that is in the file. Hey girl, hey. I went through every single text that's in the file and it's not in the text. Like, I legitimately went through all 500 pages, almost 500 pages today, and it's not there. So I don't even remember seeing anything about Nick Jr. being in the text messages either, which I thought it was possible that maybe they did communicate about Nicholas Jr. in the text, but even that wasn't in that group of text messages unless there are messages from somewhere else that I don't know about. I'll fill you in. So basically, I was Mandolin. I was talking about that somebody said that Nicholas and Gypsy were planning on naming their baby Aurora, and where did that come from? And where can I find that information? Because as of right now, all I'm seeing is content creators saying that that's true with no actual receipts of it. So I feel like we're perpetuating a lie necessarily if there's no receipts. You know what I'm saying? So yet Diana, when I talked to Natasha Cooper, because somebody said Natasha Cooper had the information. So I sent Natasha Cooper a message on her live earlier today and asked her, and she said that it was Aurora Annabelle Grace or something along that lines. Happy birthday, Kathleen. When's your birthday? Yeah, she had like 6 different Facebook accounts. So, like, where did these messages come from? And are we able to find them somewhere? And yeah, it could be a Mandela effect, Christy, because I know that we're in like a different timeline now. Amelia, you forgot to send it to me or you forgot to send it to Mandolin? My hands are so dry because it got so, like, look how red they are because they're just so dry from being in the water and then walking outside, and it was like blistering cold with the wind blowing. My son was like, "You should probably wear gloves whenever you're washing the dogs." But it's so hard to tell with gloves on if the shampoo is all the way off, because after you've been grooming dogs for such a long time, like, all I have to do is feel the body and I know that all the shampoo is off. But when I have gloves on, I'm not able to feel and tell that there's no soap. So even though it messes with my hands, I prefer not having the gloves on so I'm able to tell that I'm getting all the shampoo off. Okay. If anybody can help find those messages, I would greatly appreciate it because as we were having conversation last night about all the weird, crazy things that are being said about Gypsy, I thought to myself, is this another thing that people are lying about and exaggerating about? Because if so, then we are perpetuating false information if we're continuing to spread it without actual proof. Right, it's not really proof. Hey, Kay. So I'd really like to see proof before like spreading that information out there more. And then I was on YouTube and I saw a video. I can't remember the creator's name. I think it was Wally something. And Wally, at the beginning of the video, there was a girl who was talking. Thank you for the likes. Thank you so much for the love. And let me stop for just 1 second. Last night, people were liking and people were gifting, but we were having a conversation. So I was saying thank you, like underneath my breath, just doing like, so I wasn't like interrupting people, but I appreciate all the likes, all the gifts, all the shares, all the love and support that you guys give. So even if you don't verbally hear me saying that at the time when you're gifting or liking, I am going to say it. It just sometimes might be under my breath, especially if there's more than one person on the panel, so that I'm not being rude and interrupting them just to say thank you, because I feel like that's rude. Um, but back to what I was saying. Okay, so I was on YouTube earlier, kind of scrolling through, and I saw a video from somebody named Wally. Hey, just me. And she was talking about, I guess she was doing like a video tour where she was walking through the hospital where Gypsy gave birth. And then she proceeds to say that the headboard in delivery room 5 looked like the same headboard that was in that picture of Gypsy, doing FaceTime at Mia's graduation. And they're saying, oh, she could have had the baby, the same night of Mia's graduation. And I'm just like, I don't understand why. Okay, I do understand why people would have concern about Gypsy lying about the date. Like, I do understand that. Because she is a liar. She's a known pathological liar. So I get that. Like, I understand that. But she's not the one who told TMZ or people or whoever about the birth. Ken was the one who told them about the birth, not Gypsy. Do I think that Ken would also lie? Possibly. But in the back of my mind, I'm wondering, why are people going to such extreme lengths to try to decipher whether or not she's lying about the actual day? If they're that concerned or they think that she's not being honest, hey, patients, there are ways to go about getting that information. I'm sure that there is somebody at the hospital that would have been like, hey, Gypsy and Ken were here. Oh yeah, I believe she definitely has a hold of Ken's account. Yeah, she's definitely running his account for sure. I know that. Just like she was running Ryan's account for sure. And then they were also saying that um that I guess there was a live where Christy was in the live and she was going out of town and that she said something about Aurora was in the back seat, and they assumed that she was talking about the baby, but then she said something about it being the dog. Like, I feel like people are reading so much into this, and I don't think that it necessarily matters what day the baby was born. And I also feel like I do believe that it's Ryan's. Absolutely. Absolutely. So that's where I was going. I'm sorry. That's where I was going. So I have ADHD, so sometimes it takes my brain to catch up a little bit. Both of my children were born in December. My daughter's birthday is December the 14th, and my son's birthday is Christmas Day. So I got pregnant with both of them basically at the exact same time, 2 years apart, because her due date, my daughter's due date, was literally Christmas Day 2 years later, and or the day after, December 26th or something like that. But it was really close to my son's birthday, and I was like, I'm not doing this again. I'm not having a second Christmas baby, so we need to induce earlier. So with that being said, her saying that she did not conceive until May is absolutely impossible for her to have given birth to a baby in December, because if you take it all the way back, and 6 pounds 5 ounces is pretty full term. No, I didn't. A picture of the baby? Let me go to her IG. She has me blocked on TikTok, but she doesn't have me blocked on Instagram. Yeah, she posted a picture of herself. And she said almost a week postpartum, and it looks like she's wearing one of these things to like flatten her belly. I believe that she had the baby on the 28th, like she said. um that she that she did. But again, I do think that she was lying about the conception. I think that the conception was more along the lines of end of February, early March, which would put it closer to being Ryan's, unless she cheated on Ryan with Ken. Somebody else said that they didn't think that her and Ryan ever had intimate relations. And I don't really care if they did or if they didn't, but I think they did. Like, I think they did. Right. So I feel like 6 pounds 5 ounces is a pretty healthy full term baby. My son was 7 pound 2 ounces when he was born, and he was full term. And then my daughter was 6 pounds 9 ounces, and she was full term. So, and for girls usually weigh less than boys. So 6 pounds 5 ounces is a pretty, normal first child female weight. What do you mean, patience? If that was the case, it would have been annulled. Was your baby full term cloud nine? I think that Ryan believed Gypsy when with the paternity test. However, if I'm not gonna lie, I wouldn't want to be tied to Gypsy forever. So if I'm being honest, I would have done exactly what Ryan did too, and sign away my rights. Like, he did a smart thing. You talking about this video? Or was it an actual video? I think I can. What do you mean there's only two more? Let me. Is that the same one that she put on TikTok? Oh no, she's not wearing a stomach thing. It kind of looked like it in the picture, but God, this girl's ugly. I hate being like that, but she's ugly. She's not a pretty person. So, as I said last night, Gypsy's not stupid. She knows how to get attention. And she doesn't care if it's positive attention or negative attention because just like her idol, Kim Kardashian, any attention is attention. And if people are talking about you, you're going to be in the news. So the best thing for everybody to do is to not watch her fucking show. Like, don't watch it. I don't think that with her chromosome deletion, she would have been able to carry a full term baby. Because of her chromosome deletion. Like, I don't think that that would have been possible. I think it would have been kind of dangerous for her to do so. I do think that it's interesting that after a week of giving birth, she's already posting herself on TikTok and putting videos out there about herself. Um, that was honestly cringy to watch. It's weird. Yeah, it was a public post. Yeah. She was definitely full term and it is definitely Ryan's. Unless she was cheating on Ryan with Ken. Unless. And that's possible too, because like I said before, they were talking since February. So it is quite possible that while Ryan was at work, she was having Ken over at the house and cheating on Ryan while her and Ryan were together. And I wouldn't put it past her at all to be having sex with another man in another man's house. Like, she's that trashy. Yeah, the baby is definitely Ryan's. I don't know if Ryan will do a paternity test, but like I already said, I think that Ryan is washing his hands of the situation and is like, I don't care if it is or if it isn't. You say it's Ken's, okay, let it be Ken's. If he signed anything saying that like he terminated his parental rights or his right to what's it called, or his right to like find out if it's actually his, if he terminated those rights, there's nothing that can be done now unless he hires an attorney and says, "Oh, I think it is my kid. I want to try to sue them for a paternity test." If I were Ken, though, I would be asking for one anyways. She's a liar. She's a pathological liar and a narcissist. Like, you can't trust anything that she says. So if Ken knows what is good for him, he should definitely seek a paternity test. And then another thing I was thinking about is if they do have attorneys involved and Gypsy tries to seek any sort of child support or anything like that, you will have to establish paternity. And those at home tests are not good enough for establishing paternity. Like, you have to actually do it from a court ordered lab. Yeah, let Ken do it. I don't think that Ryan is doing himself any favors if he jumps back into the situation and is like, I want to know if this kid is mine. Unless it's just for some sort of morality bullshit. Um, it would behoove him to stay away, because I could not imagine trying to co parent with a person like her, especially because she was so abusive towards Ryan before. Like, she was abusive towards him. She was not a nice person to him. She was yelling at him. You could tell that she was basically disgusted by his presence, that she didn't like him, that she didn't want to be around him. Like, you could see that in the show. And I she was abusing him. It was real obvious she used him. And he still doesn't want to admit that publicly. Oh yeah, we were just talking about that, Jamie. She looks like shit. Um I if I were Ryan, I'd stay away. Like, I would just stay away. I don't think that she's able to breastfeed if she's taking certain medications. Oh, hold on, because Mandolin said to look up Ozempic babies. I think that it's not Gypsy who has silenced Ryan. I think it's Lifetime. I think Lifetime has asked him not to say anything about anything until after the show comes out. I don't think Gypsy has any control over Ryan anymore. It says that you shouldn't take Ozempic during pregnancy. I don't know if she had natural or C-section because that information hasn't been put publicly out. I've heard that she's had a C-section, but if she had a C-section, I don't know why she would be showing her belly. I think Ryan has been back at work. I think Ryan has been working and has been working the whole time, but because it's like Christmas break, he probably hasn't been there since, because of the holiday. Yeah, I heard C-section too, but that's all really just speculation at this time. Okay, it says Ozempic babies is a term for babies born to women who became pregnant while taking Ozempic. These drugs can cause weight loss. Um, these drugs can cause weight loss, which improve fertility in several ways. Ovulation, weight loss can restore ovulation, which can increase the likelihood of pregnancy. But are you saying look at it as far as what the babies look like? Because the babies look healthy. And from what I'm seeing, anyway. Yeah, somebody said that the preeclampsia was the blue tag or the red tag or something like that. I think that it's Jamie, I think the reason why he hasn't posted is because Lifetime has probably asked him not to, which is not shocking considering that that was when Gypsy said that she was pulling back from social media as well. I think that Lifetime knows that Gypsy runs her damn mouth too much and would give away a lot of the storyline. So that's why they asked both of them to stay offline because she can't shut her fucking mouth. Oh, I don't know about that, Diana. I don't know if his job said not to post. I would not know that. Was that something that he put in a live stream or something? Because I have no clue. I don't really watch his lives. She could have gotten away with all of it if she would have just kept her mouth shut, but she can't. She can't help herself. I think it'll be interesting. I'm sure eventually we'll find out if she did have a vaginal or if she had a C-section. Let me go back and look at this video because if you have a C-section, they normally cut you. Hey, Haley. Oh, thank you so much for saying that. Okay, so if you have a C-section, sorry, they normally cut you like right here, like this area. So even if she pulled her shirt down, sorry, I wasn't trying to be all like graphic. Even if she pulled her shirt down a little bit, um, we probably wouldn't have been able to see it. I'm going to go back. Yeah, she didn't pull it down far enough. I never had a C-section. I had all vaginal births, and mine were all natural. I didn't have epidural with any of my kids. So, if they gave her painkillers, I honestly don't think that she was ever abusing painkillers. I think that that's a fucking lie. But who knows if she will try to spin some story about how she got addicted again. You never know what's coming. But I do know that I believe that she is going to get pregnant again and she will end up pregnant again before May. Mark my words, she's going to be looking to trap Ken a second time with a second pregnancy. What's a V back? She does, yeah. She's like 12 in the head, yeah. The app isn't going to get banned. It's not going to get banned. Americans are making too much money. And I wondered, so there somebody the whole thing about TikTok getting banned was that they didn't want Americans information on TikTok um because they were thank you just because they were worried about our security and that kind of stuff. But if you really think about it, if they didn't want our information with a foreign country, why wouldn't it be smart enough if they were going to allow like Meta or Google or whatever to buy it? Then why couldn't TikTok have just created an American company and just sold it back to themselves in America? Like, Why are they making such a big deal about it? Why couldn't they just sell it back to themselves in America? Like that would have seemed like the easiest solution. Just create an American company, buy TikTok from the American company, and boom, problem solved. Yeah, the blue band did say hazard. It said hazard. What's her Insta? Gypsy Rose dot TikTok. And she's got 9.7 million now, so she's lost another 100,000 since um the hacking or whatever. And I think that we should all do a mass unfollowing. If you're following her on Instagram, unfollow her on Instagram, unfollow her on TikTok on January the 6th when her show comes out. It's going to make a huge impact if everything happens when her show comes out. Just like unfollow, don't watch the show. If you feel like you absolutely have to see what's going on with the fucking show, watch it through Lifetime clips on the Lifetime channel and through the Lifetime social medias. Don't watch it through Gypsies. Don't watch it through Lifetime and pay for it. Yeah. Don't watch anything unless you're watching it on Lifetime's social media. I don't follow her either. Yeah, so when I had my daughter, my daughter was induced because like I said, I didn't want to have her on Christmas Day like my son. So it made more sense to have her induced a week early to avoid having two children on Christmas Day. And when they gave me the Pitocin, I had to come in at like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning to get it started, and my daughter was born by like 10 in the morning. So it makes sense that her daughter was born by 10 in the morning because mine was too, and they gave me Pitocin to induce. I don't think that her and Ken are still together. I think that Gypsy and Ken have been having some problems. Obviously, we know that they've been having some problems. I think that he probably has sought some assistance with his mom, asking his mom for some advice. And I think that he is trying to um make the best decisions for what is in the best interest of the baby as well as what's in the best interest for him publicly, because no matter what happens, Gypsy is going to try to sell a story that she is a victim of him. You know what I mean? And he already knows that. Like, he's not stupid because he saw what she did to Ryan. When does the actual show start, Jamie? Thank you for everybody for liking the live. Right. Well, patience, here's the thing. If because she just had a baby, it's possible that she was allowed to have the RUGS while she was in the hospital giving birth, not taking any home. Does that make sense? Like, of course, the doctors in the hospital are meant to take care of you. So even though you are on parole, they do have to do what is in the best interest of your health and keeping you stable. So it's quite possible that she was given medication while she was in the hospital, just not given any after she left. And well, we can make a huge impact by not watching. Yeah, mass unfollowing on TikTok, on YouTube. Set your calendars for it. Cloud9, I thank you so much for the heart puff, Renee. I don't think that Gypsy is getting a lot of help from anyone. Um, that video did not look like it was in her dad's house. This doesn't look like her dad's house. This looks like the other house. It is true. I don't really watch Nina's page a lot, but I have heard her mentioning it several times about when it's coming on, this, that, and the other. So I do think that it's it's a little questionable that she has all this information that she comes up with, and I do think that she is spreading information in order to keep people interested in her content. Whether that's information is true or not doesn't really matter, because it's like I said yesterday, it doesn't matter what's true. It matters what people will believe. So you can say anything you want. It doesn't matter if it's true. It matters if people are going to believe it. So, how believable is your story? How believable is what you're saying? It could be Cloud9. It could be Ken is her source. It could be Ken. It also could be Christy. We know Christy does not like Gypsy. Like, it's not you don't have to be a fucking rocket science to figure that out. Christy does not like Gypsy. The only reason Christy puts up with her is because they're contractually bound with a contract with Lifetime, and because of her dad. I think the reason why neighbors are not talking, Deborah, is because 90% of their neighbors are family, and they're Blanchard family, not Petrie family. I think the Petries would talk more if they understood how valuable their side of the story was. And if they didn't feel threatened by Gypsy. She can't stand not being the center of attention. She's not going to be able to she's not going to be able to stay off of social media for very long. She did, Katrina. We were just talking about it. Have you seen it yet? The only thing that Gypsy cares about is her public image. She doesn't care about anything else but her public image. Oh, you're right, Patience. She did say that. Hold on, you guys. I need to go grab something to drink. Oh. I didn't even catch that in the Rolling Stone interview. I have to be honest, I didn't read it. I skimmed over it because everybody else was talking about it, but I didn't really read it. So, if she felt like she was living in a prison with her mother, imagine what she's going to feel like being at home with a baby, not being able to drive anywhere, not being able to do anything, not being able to like get out and experience life because now you're a mom. And she claims so badly that she wanted freedom. She wanted freedom, this, that, and the other. She wanted freedom, blah, 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 blah. But if she really wanted freedom, why the fuck would you get pregnant so soon after like getting freedom from prison? So, in my opinion, she didn't really want freedom. She just didn't want to be tied to her mother anymore. She doesn't. She doesn't know what she wants because she's immature and she wants things until she gets them, and then after she gets them she doesn't want them anymore. It's all about the chase. It's like a drug. It's all about the chase of getting what she wants and then discarding it soon after. She doesn't really care to what's the word? What's the word that I'm looking for? She doesn't really care about anything but achieving the goal. Outside of achieving the goal, she hasn't thought any further than that. Like, she achieved the goal of getting pregnant, but she didn't really think about what being a mother actually consists of. Being a mother is a very serious job. Yeah, exactly, Miller. Yes. It's always the next big prize. What can I get next? And I'm telling you, her next big prize is going to be getting pregnant again. I noticed that too, Cloud9. A lot of her following is young because whenever her account ended up getting hacked, a lot of the people that were coming to her defense were like in their young 20s and stuff. She's never going to be happy until she literally works on whatever is going on inside of her. Yep. If she isn't already doing that right now, Jamie. Like, I honestly feel like she's definitely trying to reel in some squid. I didn't report it. Did they take it down? Gypsy's post? The one she just posted? Aqua? I think Ken wanted to see what it would be like to be on our group page. No, what group page? I think that Ken wanted to see what it would be like to like be on TV, be in the media, and kind of like what it would feel like to be a celebrity or whatever. And once he realized that Gypsy was batshit crazy, she was pregnant. No, Aqua Bubbles, not yet, unless you've seen something I haven't seen. I haven't really been on TikTok today, though, because I've been searching for those damn text messages between Gypsy and Nick that claim that Aurora was going to be the name of their baby girl. Yeah, I haven't really been following it either. Right. That's what everybody is saying, though. I want to see proof of where that came from. She thought that a baby was going to make her happy, not necessarily keep Ken. Yeah, keeping Ken was a bonus of the pregnancy. But no matter what happens, everything that Gypsy does is because Gypsy is trying to find happiness. She feels inadequate and she is continuing to try to search for things that make her feel special, important. And so far, she hasn't been able to find that. She thought that the baby was going to fix it. She thought having a relationship was going to fix it, and it's just not. Right, Jamie. She thought a baby was going to fix her relationship. We all know it's Ryan's. Like everybody knows it's Ryan's baby. You had the baby in December, which means that you got pregnant at the end of February, beginning of March. She was still with Ryan. And unless she was cheating on Ryan with Ken, then it's Ryan's baby. And maybe that's the reason why he's not talking. Maybe it was a way, a part of the storyline that her doing that paternity test was going to be good enough. And Ryan was like, no, I'm not having that. And so somehow in the show, they're going to show that it really is Ryan's baby to attract viewers. What one guy from the book signing? I don't think she ever took that plan B. I don't think she ever did. Nope. You can't convince me that she took it. We see her take the pill? Did they show it that her putting the pill in her mouth? But even then, I still wouldn't believe it because I'm sure she knows how to hide medication in her mouth and then spit it out. She's going to have she's definitely gonna have two because, like I said, she'll be pregnant again before. I think I'm guessing by May. I'm guessing by May she'll be pregnant again by May. Patience, they weren't together for 5 years. Her and Ken weren't together for 5 years. Her and Ken were only together for like 2 years. They were broken up for 5 years, not together. And he was with his ex-girlfriend. I don't know. I don't really want to speculate on that. I think that Gypsy has a way of convincing the men that she's with to do things for her that most men and women don't convince their partners to do. Like, how do you convince somebody to commit a crime for you? That's that's a pretty serious manipulation. And she's done the same thing with Ryan. Yes. Gypsy is very calculated in the people that she chooses to keep in her inner circle. Like, Bree does not seem like she has very high self-esteem or takes care of herself very well. And she seems like she's easily manipulated. And she was easily manipulated by Gypsy. Mm-hmm. The thing about Ryan is that Ryan has a high IQ. He's got a good job. So I think for her, he was even more of a challenge to manipulate because he is so intelligent. And I think that because she was able to manipulate him, that was some sort of a conquest for her because he is an intelligent person. Both Ken and Ryan are fucking sick in the mind. Because why would you even consider writing to a murderer in prison? Like, that's just not normal thoughts. This is an Outshine bar. Their fruit bars, it's like a fruit ice cream bar, but it's all fruit. This one's raspberry. Thank you. This one's raspberry, and they have like um peach and strawberry and all kinds of flavors. I like the raspberry one the best. They're really good. Oh, you've had the coconut? I haven't had the coconut one. I haven't tried the grape one either. I like the strawberry ones and these. I like the strawberry ones because the strawberry ones have like actual strawberries in them. And so every now and again, you'll get like a little bite of a strawberry, but the raspberry ones don't have any of that. So on days when I don't want to like bite into a strawberry, I'll eat this one. I haven't tried the peach one yet either. The raspberry is my favorite. Cause, hey girl. Regular ice cream also makes me sick. I'm lactose intolerant, so I can't eat regular ice cream. So this is like the next best thing. Thank you. My nails are super cute, aren't they? Mmm. I'll have to try the peach because I do like peaches. She is Cloud9. She was live earlier, and I was trying to ask her where the information came from about Gypsy wanting to name her and Nick's baby Aurora because I wanted to find like actual proof of it. So I was in her live earlier. She said she couldn't remember if it was a text message or if it was an actual phone call. So I didn't get to see. Okay, hold on. Somebody sent me this video from Leanna.
And her daughter's name. Before we get into it, I just have to say this video is all alleged, my opinions, and for entertainment purposes only.
Y'all know Leanna.
This stuff in chronological order. So we've seen the receipts of the kind of videos she liked to watch online. We've also seen the receipts of her being into, I don't know if there's a TikTok safe word for it, but we've seen the proof of that. We've seen the transcripts of her on video claiming to fantasizing about raping and unaliving women. We've seen the text with her and Nick saying that they're going to have a daughter, name the daughter Aurora, and then she's going to allow Nick to grape Aurora.
Where are those?
We've seen the reports of when she was in county telling her cellmate all about how she was going to let Nick grape their daughter Aurora, and then immediately after she starts crying because she misses him so much. We've seen all the women come out that were in the same prison as her saying that she solely hung out with chomos. Now she's out, and now she's pregnant with a daughter that she's still naming Aurora. Like, all of these things, when you think about them all at once, is incredibly disturbing. And yet there are still people out there calling her queen and mother and idolizing her. Why is this still a thing? Can we just take a...
This isn't really showing the receipt of her saying that they were going to name the baby Aurora. I know Leanna usually has receipts of everything, so I'm sure there's a video. I'm sure there's a video somewhere on her page that highlights the receipt.
And talk about Gypsy pregnancy.
I haven't seen it. I've heard Kimber. I've heard lots of people talk about it, but I haven't heard anybody actually show a receipt of Gypsy having a conversation with Nick saying that the baby's name was going to be Aurora. Hope it's not in the text messages, because I went through every single one of those pages, 400 and almost 40 pages of text messages, and it's not in there. It's not in those texts. So that's not true. She's basically in prison at home with a baby now. I know whenever I was a stay-at-home mom, I couldn't stand it. I couldn't stand it. It made me feel so inadequate. Yeah, I remember it saying that as well, Hope. I don't remember anything about the name. And that's what I want to see, because they're spreading this information like it's true and accurate, and it's not. It's not true until we see a receipt, but we haven't seen one. It's not in the text messages that the courts have, because I looked at all 500 pages. Hey, New Star, I looked at all 500 pages and it's not in there. Taro, no, she cannot. She's not allowed. Am I ready for what? Oh my goodness. Thank you. That's so fun. Thank you so much. Thank you. My favorite color? I don't have one. I don't have a favorite color. I like all colors that I look good in. So I think that it's kind of weird to say that you only have one color that you like the most. Or one food that you like the most. So I don't have a favorite food that I like. I don't have a favorite color. I'm open to a lot of things. Ha ha ha. Wouldn't that be something, Jamie? Like, really, wouldn't that be something? Jamie said, what if Mike Stanfield is the baby daddy? I've tried to search and search and search, and I have yet to find it. Like, seriously. My favorite color is glitter. That's why everything is always glitter. I don't think that she's on any DRUGS. I think that she probably got some when she was in the hospital while she was giving birth, but I don't necessarily think that she has, like, I don't think that they prescribed her anything to take home, because it would be a violation of her parole if she was prescribed drugs. Or maybe not, since it's prescription. I don't know. Might not be, since it's prescription. Hold on. Right. So, okay. That would make sense. If it's prescribed, then I'm sure it was fine. Because it's not like prescription drugs is like taking street drugs. It's not the same thing. I've watched the Prison Confessions documentary, and I never saw it in that either. I never saw anything about her naming a baby girl Aurora until I heard creators talking about it. And then I also heard, I know she mentioned the grape. Yes, she definitely mentioned that, but she did not mention a name. I do remember hearing Nick Jr. as a possible name, but not a girl name. I never heard her mention a baby girl's name. I think though, if you're on prescription drugs, like, and you have an actual prescription, I think that that might be different. Hey, Flynn. That's why I'm trying to find actual receipts of it happening so that I can be accurate about it, because at this point it's just another rumor. Yes. That's what I remember too, Natalie. Those were like Facebook messages. So after I had my first baby, my stomach dropped significantly. I didn't even look like I had a baby. So I definitely believe that she's a week postpartum, as she says. I believe that that's true. Um, I'm pretty sure that she would have had to have let somebody know that she was on parole or whatever. Well, I'm sure the hospital staff knows who she is. Like with Spanish women, most often our hips get wider, and but our stomachs get flatter unless you don't take care of yourself. And then if you don't take care of yourself, then it's likely, you will gain and hold on to some weight. Sassy Missy, you're saying a social worker automatically comes? I don't remember having a social worker come in to talk to me at when I gave birth. I do recall having a lactation consultant come in. I don't know about that. The hospital doesn't know if you're a criminal. Oops, sorry. Did you look up that information or did you find that somewhere? Because I have a hard time understanding how the hospital would know that she's a convicted felon without looking her up, and that would be violating HIPAA laws. No, you don't. You don't have to disclose whether or not you've been convicted of a crime to give birth. Either time that I gave birth, I never had a social worker come into my room. I had somebody come in to talk about like the birth certificate, lactation consultant, and then I also had like nurses coming in to help me with things that I didn't know about how to take care of a baby, like show me how to change the diaper, that sort of stuff, especially if they knew that it was my first child. You know what I mean? Yeah, it says a social worker may be involved. Maybe. That's not a guarantee that it happened. I think that's just speculating that it's possible that it could happen. And it is possible that it could happen, but not a fact that it did happen. Hmm. I don't know. I don't really think so, unless there's an actual reason for the hospital to think that there is a concern, meaning she's in the hospital and she's displaying some questionable behaviors towards the baby, then yes, they would get involved. But if she's not displaying questionable behaviors in front of hospital staff, there's no reason why they would call a social worker. I mean, I don't like Gypsy, but I don't think that they would just call just because she's Gypsy Rose and a mommy unalive her. Like, I don't think that that's enough. I think that there would have to have been something significant to happen in order for them to do that. Exactly. If someone so say if she had the baby in her room with her and the baby was just crying, 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 and instead of getting up to do anything for the baby, she's just in there like screaming at the baby. Yeah, I could see them stepping in and taking control over that situation. But outside of that, I don't know that there would be any other reason for hospital staff to get involved to call CPS. Right. I understand that that the crime is against a family member, but it's not against the child and it's not against the child's father. So again, there's not really a lot of things that the hospital has the right to do because her crime has nothing to do with her having a baby. It just doesn't. Yes, she's on parole, but the crime does not have anything to do with her having a baby. Yeah, I don't believe anything Gypsy ever says. Yes. I think that they would advise her of what services are available to her as a first time mother so that she knows that there are resources for her to call and get help if she becomes feeling overwhelmed. Now, I do know that after I gave birth to both of my children, I breastfed both of them. Each time after I left the hospital, the lactation consultant actually came to my house. Like, I want to see maybe 2 weeks after giving birth, the lactation consultant came to my home to just check in with me, make sure that my milk was coming in and that the babies were eating properly, all of that good stuff. So it's possible that if she is nursing and if the lactation consultant comes to her house and sees something that is out of ordinary, that the lactation consultant at that point in time has the ability to call as a mandated reporter and say something about the conditions of the home, the conditions of the baby, the conditions of Gypsy. Like, if the child is not being taken care of at that point in time, they would step in. Right. We all would hope that CPS would be involved right away, but it's not really up to us. It's up to the people in her family to call and be like, hey, I don't think that she's mentally capable of taking care of this child. I think that you guys need to step in and just go and do a welfare check and make sure that everything's copacetic, whatever. It's up to those people in her family to ask for assistance and tell them what they feel like is going on and why she is an immediate danger to that baby. So, outside of family, friends, and people that are close to them, if nobody of those people are calling in and raising any concerns, then CPS is not going to get involved. They're not going to trust some crazy person on the internet calling in to make a report if there's no actual evidence to back it up. It's hard to say. I think if Mia sees something, she may step in. I think if sees something, he may step in if he's sober enough to do so. I'm gonna go get food from Chipotle. Okay, your hair looks good. Thanks. All right. Okay, drive safe. Oh, and can you get me some more of that lotion from TikTok? The blue lotion? No, the green one. Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, Joaquin has some. I know, but last time we went there, you tried to act like it was such a big deal that I went and took some out of his container, even though we don't use it. He doesn't use it. He doesn't use it, so like I was taking some out of his container to put in mine, and he was like, "You don't got to do all that." Blah, 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 blah. I was like, "You're not using it anyway." That's so messed up. Whatever. I'll get you some. Thanks. You're welcome. The problem with her family is that nobody is really holding her accountable to be a good parent, to do the right things. They're so concerned about money and fame, and that's part of the biggest issue. Right, that's what I'm saying, Cloud9. Like one of us calling CPS on her would would honestly be like the stupidest thing to do, because they're not going to take us seriously. They're not going to take us seriously if we call in and we're like, oh, well, she unalived her mom. She shouldn't have a baby in her care. It's not up to us. It's not up to us whether or not she has a baby in her care. Clearly, she wanted to prove everyone wrong by having a baby, so she did. They don't do their jobs. I think that essentially who is going to step in is probably going to be Ken's mom. I think Ken's mom is essentially going to be the one that is going to make whatever report. Because you know how, like, okay, so say for instance, if my son had a girlfriend and was having issues with his baby mama, whatever, my son is going to come and talk to me about those issues, possibly ask me for advice, possibly ask me for help on what to do. And I'm going to know all of that information that he just told me about what's happening with the baby and the baby mama. And I'm going to naturally want to get involved. So I think that it's essentially going to be Raina getting involved and taking a step forward into trying to you know, make things happen. But who's to say that Gypsy doesn't be a great mom? I mean, let's just throw it out there. What the possibility is. Is it possible that she is just going to make sure that all the baby's diapers are changed on time, that the baby's getting burped, that the baby's getting bathed? Like, who are we to say she's not going to do it? Like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, we know that she's a nasty bitch who doesn't take care of her own hygiene and lives in filth because of what we've seen. But maybe she's changed. Let's just play devil's advocate for a minute. Maybe she's changed. Maybe she's grown. Maybe she's matured a little bit. And maybe she picks up after herself, does her own laundry, washes her own ass, cooks her own food. Maybe she's doing all the things that she never did before. Maybe. Maybe she's going to be a good mom. Maybe she's going to take care of the baby. Who knows? Until it is a reach because I don't think that that's what's going to happen, but who knows? Maybe all of that stuff is possible. You know, in Gypsy's fairy tale in Gypsy's fairy tale land, everything is just working out. And the baby's diaper is always changed. She's not colicky, she's just the best baby in the world and she's being fully taken care of. That's what we can hope for. But we all know it's possible that that's not what's going to happen, right? But until there is actual evidence that she is doing something inappropriate or wrong, there's nothing anyone can do to take that baby away from her. I think that there's going to be Munchausen by proxy on her daughter. I think there's going to be emotional incest. I think that there's going to be emotional abuse. I think that there's going to be narcissistic abuse. I think that there's going to be a lot of abuse going on with this baby. A lot. Teachers have to report it if the child goes to any sort of daycare, which probably is unlikely because Gypsy is lazy as fuck and just sits at home and does nothing but play on the internet. So I don't think that the baby is going to be going to childcare. Mia is a mandatory reporter since she's a nurse. And that's when there's a moral and ethical line between maybe her not wanting to have a lot to do with Gypsy, because as a mandated reporter, she would have to report anything that she sees as inappropriate. So maybe that's why she's kind of pulled away, so that she doesn't have to be the one to call in and be like, hey, my half older sister who unalived her mom is being abusive to my niece and we need some help, you know? Because if she didn't call and report and somebody knew that there was abuse happening in front of her, she could essentially have her medical license, or her nursing license taken away. So there's a lot of there's a lot going on in this situation that could potentially cause a lot of rifts in the family. A lot of rifts. It is a blessing that Mia is a mandated reporter. However, is it a blessing if she's keeping her distance from Gypsy so that she doesn't see anything that she could have to report? I think that Mia is definitely learning that there are a lot of things that she thought were true that aren't necessarily true anymore. However, Gypsy is her sister. And I know that as a young girl, I yearned to have a good, healthy woman to woman type of relationship with my mother and with my sisters that I never got. So I'm sure she's yearning for that relationship with a sister she never really got to have. And therefore, she's allowing her morals to be corrupted just a little bit because she wants to have a relationship with her sister, because she thinks that having a relationship with her sister is going to be a certain way. Like, people romanticize how relationships should be, and then they're not really that way because that person is a narcissistic pathological liar. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm sure at some point Mia is having to come to terms that the relationship that she thought she was going to have with her sister is not the relationship that she wanted, and she's going to have to grieve that relationship. She's going to have to mourn the relationship that she wanted, that she knows she's never going to get, because her sister is a lying pathological narcissist. You know what I'm saying? But it takes time to get there. Leave it. And until she actually sees that Gypsy is doing things wrong, which I think that Mia's got a pretty good head on her shoulders. She was the only one who was kind of spotting things out in the last season of the show. So I feel like she's got more of an understanding of what's morally correct and what's not. Leave it. So I think that with her, excuse me, with her integrity, with her morals, I think that she does call out behavior when she sees toxic behavior. But again, this is still her family. And even though, like, it took me years to understand that my family was toxic and full of drama and all that other stuff, but year after year after year after year, not knowing what it was, I still had a relationship with them. And I think that that's where she's at right now. She doesn't fully understand what the problem is, but she's self aware enough to know that something isn't right. Halo effect, it does vary by state as far as who is a mandated reporter. So teachers are a mandated reporter. I think that that's nationwide. Doctors are a mandated reporter. Nurses are mandated reporter. Social workers are mandated reporters. Police are mandated reporters. Um, If I left any out, let me know. But I think all of those are mandated reporters and would have to essentially say something if they knew something was going on. But until something happens, that's the fucked up thing about CPS is you can't call because you have a suspicion. You know what I mean? Like you have to have actual evidence of neglect or abuse in order to call and say somebody's getting abused. You know what I mean? Like you can't just call and say I suspect. I think it may have happened. You have to know 100%. Like, I saw this mom slap her kid across the face. Like, you have to know. And that's when they actually take things seriously. Yeah, most of the time they don't even do anything for that. So it just all depends. And with the amount of attention that Gypsy brings to this little small town that they live in, it's probably um it's probably bringing in quite a bit of revenue, so they're less likely to call and report anything because the town is making money from it until they're not making money from it. You know what I mean? So here's what I think is a probable thing to happen, Soule Souffle. So I remember, I don't know if a lot of you know this about me, but when I was 15, I had my first child. I put my first child up for adoption. And at that point in time, I basically took her to live with my uncle out in California. But as a 15-year-old, I was very immature, right? I mean, 15, you're immature as fuck. And I knew that I was going to have to leave my baby there for somebody else to take care of. But there was a possessiveness inside of me, like I want to take care of my baby while I'm here because it's my baby kind of thing. I think that that's what's going to end up happening with Gypsy and Christy. I think that that Christy is going to try to help, try to intervene, and try to pick up the slack a little bit with Gypsy and try to teach her about how to be a parent and how to hold a baby and this, that, and the other. And I think that it is going to instinctively um, push out the possessive and controlling and abusive side of Gypsy. And that's when we'll probably see Gypsy snap on Christy because Christy is trying to help Gypsy take care of the baby. And Gypsy is being possessive and not allowing anybody to help her because she has to be in control of everything. And even though she doesn't know shit, she's going to claim she knows everything and not accept those resources because she doesn't want to feel inadequate, even though she knows she's inadequate because she knows she doesn't know how to take care of a baby. So it's going to bring up a lot of insecurities in her and it's going to cause her to act out, in my opinion. I think that that's probably the first situation that we're going to see happening. If we don't see, Gypsy and Ken getting into little squabbles because they're not together anymore and, it's his turn for a couple of days with the baby or whatever. I don't know, Lisa. Something happens whenever you have a baby, and you're instinctively jealous if anybody tries to, like, make you feel like you can't do it, you know? like you're unable to do it because you don't know what you're doing. So I think that it's going to I have a feeling it's going to spark something inside of her um that is jealous and possessive. I feel a tiny little hair hanging on me. We do know that she's lazy, but I think that even for that, even with her being as lazy as she is, a lot of what mothering in the first few weeks is really just laying in the bed and nursing the baby, changing its diaper, getting the bottle. So you don't really have to move a whole lot. So she can do everything from her bed other than make the bottles. But if she's nursing, hell, I slept with my daughter and my son just right there. I just went to sleep while they were eating. She's definitely gonna get jealous of the baby. I mean, that's a given. That's definitely going to happen. It's a matter of when. Look at my dog's face. Can you see it? He's funny. I need to give him a haircut. I shaved his face today. It looks much cleaner. He was getting a little scruffy. Yes, Lisa, the smartest thing that she could do is disappear off of social media. But unfortunately, Gypsy is she just has to have the attention on her at all times, that it's going to be really fucking hard for her to walk away, especially if she's making money. Like that video on TikTok, was it a minute long? Let me go back and see. Was it a minute long? No, it was only 12 seconds. So she's not really even concerned about making money off of that post. It was just to like say, "Hey, I'm back." Those Lululemon pants probably have the worst stench ever. My dog snores too. Last night he was doing something like with his chin, like that. It was weird. They probably can. All right, you guys, I gotta get in the shower. We didn't get to read tonight, damn it. Um, but we can come back tomorrow. And unless there's more shit to talk about with Gypsy and I have some sort of proof, actual evidence, proof of the baby thing, then we'll read the book rather than have a discussion. Yeah, Ken's definitely in it for the money. I don't think that he would allow Gypsy to abuse the child, though. I don't. I think that when it comes to an innocent child, I think a lot of people have more morals and integrity when it comes to that. But it's weird because she's very manipulative. Hey, Moxie, I'm actually getting ready to get off. We were talking about Gypsy, but tomorrow I'm going to actually read the book. Um, when it comes to babies, I think a lot of people have a little bit more concern and empathy and integrity for making sure that the child is well taken care of. So I don't think that Ken or Christy or even Rod, for that matter, would allow Gypsy to abuse this child. Regardless how much money is involved, I feel like somebody would step in and say, no, we're not going to allow you to do this. We're going to take the baby away from you. And then that becomes a different storyline that they can make money off of. Yeah, there's a lot of things that are going to follow her forever. She thinks that she's going to be able to somehow escape the fact that she unalived her mother. She thinks that she's somehow going to escape her past and her sickness and her illness. She's never going to be able to escape her health problems. You know what I mean? Like, she thinks if she continues to deny that they ever existed, that they just don't exist, but they do. And she's going to be reminded of that every single day, either as she looks in the mirror or as she looks at her own child, because there's no guarantee that her daughter does not have this disorder. Now, if you think back to the documentaries, Rod said that Dee Dee started to notice things at 3 months old. When Gypsy was 3 months old, she started to notice the eye. So, are we going to be seeing the same thing happening with Aurora around 3 months of age, noticing strabismus in the eye? I guess we'll see. Only time will tell. Hopefully, she doesn't put the baby on social media like she said she wasn't going to do. So I hope there's nobody out there that's asking for photos, because she really needs to keep the baby off social media. But we all know that she's a lying sack of shit and will do anything to make money. So if she thinks she can make money off it, she's obviously going to do it. Those are just the facts. Good night, you guys. I love you so much. I will see you all tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And like I said, unless I have some actual information about the baby name, we'll start out with reading the book. Thank you so much, Flynn. Good night, you guys. Oh, hold on, Kimber.